We are back on Inside Politics. Our guest today, Kim Crucy, the Associated Press legislative reporter, and Joel Ebert, who's also the legislative reporter for the Tennessean. Last year, the Republican supermajority was divided over what to do about further regulating abortion in the state. This year, they seem to be all united. Governor Lee is also on board. The person who wasn't so much on board last year was the lieutenant governor. He didn't think the heartbeat part of the legislation, this is an omnibus bill that's probably coming up this time, he didn't think that was going to work, that had been struck down in many courts to basically ban abortion after about 6 weeks when they could detect a heartbeat. What got him on board this time, Kim?
I think that has been a key question about it, but supposedly that they work together a little bit more with their attorneys. They are still the workshopping language. We have not seen the bill. So that while they say that everyone is on board, there was a big press conference with the governor and multiple lawmakers were there, but right now they are still working on language to make sure that everyone gets on board.
Joel, I remember when that news conference held, there was talk about, well, we might have multiple ways of defining the heartbeat in the bill. Maybe it's going to be 6 weeks, or we'll say it's 8 weeks or 12 weeks. I've never seen a bill drafted like that has multiple choice. Is that one of the issues that's dividing them up?
Well, I don't know that that's the issue. I think it is whether they want to include exceptions in certain instances, whether it's the life of the mother or anything else. That, I think, mechanism, the idea of having these sort of triggers, might be in anticipation of a lawsuit, which is something that is in the background of a lot of people's minds.
Isn't it likely there'd be a lawsuit regardless if they pass anything on this issue?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we just saw Mississippi's 6-week ban just get blocked. I mean, these types of bills immediately get blocked.
Why do they think this is the particular bill that would wind up going to the Supreme Court and having a major impact on repealing Roe v. Wade?
Depends on who you ask. Democrats would say delusions of grandeur. Republicans would say because we are kind of setting the stage for the forefront of the country. So it really depends.
So why isn't this bill moving? We're 6 weeks in. It was announced 3 or 4 weeks ago. Nothing's happened so far.
Largely because it's the behind-the-scenes negotiation. I think, again, one might ask, did you put the cart before the horse by having a big pronouncement before language? That just seems to be the way that the new administration has operated so far.
Bills can also move pretty fast when they want to. So, I mean, they can take, a few more weeks to fine-tune this and move it pretty fast with the help of the supermajority.
Another matter that had big hoopla about it when it was announced was when Governor Lee said, well, we're going to have 12 weeks of paid family leave, and I'm going to do it by executive order. Now, all of a sudden, on second thought, they need to have legislation. Did somebody goof, Kim?
Well, I think that there definitely was some disagreement between legislative leadership and the governor. They had multiple talks over this. I mean, legislative leadership told reporters yesterday that they felt that his executive order might buck up against a couple laws, and the compromise was, okay, fine, we'll do this through legislation. However, if you have some skeptical members, it's going to be very tricky, especially this late in the session.
And Joe, there's cost issues involved. The administration said it's just going to be only about $1 million, which in the state budget ain't much, but they think it might be a lot more than that.
Well, and the other thing is the administration didn't put any money behind this in their proposed $40.8 billion budget.
The fiscal note.
Exactly. So the legislature and the Senate specifically has raised initial questions about it. The House, I'm sure, has similar concerns about what are the financial aspects of this.
Senate Speaker McNally actually estimated that the cost could be in the millions. Yeah. So that hasn't been budgeted yet.
Is there a reason to think the lawmakers won't go along? They all seem to be, when I had the leadership up here, they said, well, we like the idea, but...
I think that generally speaking, they want the idea to move forward. The question is it going to be 12 weeks? Is it going to be 8 weeks? Is it going to be some sort of reduced version of what the governor initially proposed?
Or does it go to summer study?
Well, that'll be interesting since summer study will be between elections.
Which would also be a significant blow to the governor because he announced this to such fanfare.
Yeah, I mean, it was like it was a done deal, and now he's going to try to make it retroactive to March when it's supposed to take place.
And when I asked legislative leadership about how that retroactive element would work,
Jack Johnson said it was
confusing.
Murky.
It was murky, yeah. He said they are also unsure how that would work.
There have been a lot of lawsuits coming out of the state capitol the last couple of years from hot-button issue bills that have passed and become law. Joel, you think this has a lot to do with the change in a policy from this governor to Governor Haslam?
Yeah, we had a story earlier this week essentially just looking at that. Has the Lee administration taken a different approach to bills and sort of a hands-off approach versus the Haslam administration, which often stopped bills in their tracks during the committee process? It's led to, right now, the state is facing 7 lawsuits over 6 different laws passed just last year, which is significantly more than any year we found.
And maybe more coming because you had the LGBT controversy about adoption, and they've been talking about a boycott. So far, that has not materialized, but both those could happen.
And with any number of bills that pass this year, whether it's abortion, the Bible bill, et cetera, there might be more lawsuits.
But the governor saying yes last year that I'm not going to veto any bills, he is also usually has come around and also said, I am the executive branch. These issues are for the judicial branch. So he has been very hands-off on whether or not he's going to be the judge on these issues.
What happens this year with the Bible bill? Because it's passed before, Governor Haslam vetoed it. His veto was sustained. That may have been an election year too, but are we going to have? Is the Governor Lee going to be put to the test on that about whether he'd veto that?
So Speaker Sexton has already said he does not anticipate a different result on the bill, which means the House should pass it. Despite Lieutenant Governor McNally saying he's against it, it wouldn't be shocking to see if it passed, although it was a close vote in the Senate. And the governor has given no indication, which might lead one to believe that he would be okay with it.
All these hot button issues, Kim, it's an election year. Are we likely to see more intensity on these, at least up until the qualifying deadline in April, when lawmakers find out whether they have primary opposition?
I think so. There's no way around it. I mean, they have to go home and say to their voters and say what they're fighting for. And these are the issues that not only they get a lot of attention from activists, they get a lot of attention, they get on clicks from headlines. And so these are issues that are also very personal. And, you know, LGBT issues, you have heartbreaking stories that are going up on the Hill right now. And so, yes, like I think we sometimes view it as this is just an election, people trying to get attention, but these are also people's lives that we're, I mean, from multiple sides of the aisle are very concerned about.
Kim Christie of the Associated Press is our guest. She's a legislative reporter up on Capitol Hill, along with Joel Ebert of Tennessee, and he also covers the legislature. Back to continue our conversation about what's going on in the General Assembly after you watch these messages.